Today's date is December 5th, 2024. My name is Max. I'm a 4th grade student at Temple Shalom of Norwalk, Connecticut. I will be interviewing my Nana, whose name is Cherie, about her life and her legacy. This interview will be recorded for the Oral History Archives for the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield, Connecticut, as well as our family archives. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I will ask you questions that will help me learn more about you and our family's history, especially our Jewish history. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's start with you telling me your full name.
Cherie Marlene Jacobs.
Who are you named after, if you know?
Actually, I do know. So my grandmother on my dad's side, I was born on her birthday.
Oh.
So my middle name, her name was Myrtle, so my middle name was Marlene. And because I was born on her birthday. So my first name, I was named after my mother's passion for French, Cherie.
Do you have a Hebrew name, and what is it?
Sharona, which I didn't know I had until I got married, because I didn't have a Hebrew name when I was born, but then I was given a Hebrew name when I had a Jewish marriage ceremony.
Yeah. In this class, I've been learning about the immigration of Jews to the U.S. and other places. Do you know where your parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents immigrated from?
Yes, I actually do. So I found out a lot of this through going through Ancestry.com. So I found out that my grandfather actually immigrated from Odessa, which at that time was Russian. And my grandmother originally was born in Poland, but she then immigrated to Palestine. And then they both came to the United States in 1904, a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. Do you know anything about Jewish life there?
Well, actually, my grandmother remembers when she was living in Palestine that everyone really got along really well. And she remembers actually riding on a donkey. That's the only thing she remembers.
And she told you that story?
Yeah, she did tell me that she remembers riding on a donkey. And my grandfather, he does remember how beautiful it was in Odessa, because they lived by the water, and it was it was like a seaside kind of village. And his parents actually were merchants, and they did very well in Odessa, so they had a very nice life there.
Was anyone in the family directly affected by the Holocaust in Europe? Pogroms in Russia, Poland, or elsewhere? Can you tell me about it?
So not the Holocaust, but my grandfather, the reason my grandfather left Odessa was because of the Russian pogroms. He does remember being hidden by his nanny, who was not Jewish. When he knew the Russians were going to come through, she would hide them in her house.
Wow.
And he does remember that. Even though he loved living there, because he knew it wasn't safe, he was really happy to leave.
Can you tell me anything about our family's immigration to the United States?
Yes, so they immigrated in 1904. And my grandfather didn't remember a lot about being on the ship coming to the United States, but he does remember going through immigration, and they had a very unusual name. Their name was Assolinger. And because my great-great-grandfather didn't speak really good English, the immigration officer didn't know how to spell that name, so they slightly changed their name to Asslinker. They left out a few letters.
That's
okay. Papa John will
please tell me about this photograph. When and where was it taken?
So this photograph is really, I think it was probably taken back in Russia, because it's brown, you know, I don't know, the photograph it's really kind of falling apart. And it's a picture of my great-great-grandfather and my great-great-grandmother and my grandfather, and he had four sisters and a brother. So they had a really big family. So it's a picture of the family.
Why is it special to you and your family?
Because it's nice to see how they lived and how they looked so long ago.
Who is in this photograph? Are you in it? How old were you?
No, I wasn't in it. It was probably taken in the early 1900s. So that was long, before I was born. But as I said, it was his entire family, he had a younger brother. My grandfather was the oldest, so he had a younger brother and he had 4 sisters.
Is this photograph from a celebration or event?
I don't think so. It looks like it was a posed sort of family photograph.
Now I would like to ask you a few questions about your life growing up. Where did you grow up, and who did you live with growing up?
So I'm a native-born New Yorker. I grew up in New York. I lived with my parents. And I had an older brother, and I had two younger sisters and a younger brother. Do you want to know their names?
Sure, yeah.
So my older brother was Gary. Then the next oldest after me was Wendy. Then Bruce. And then my little sister Lisa.
What was life like? Tell me something about school life. Your favorite teacher, your favorite subject.
Oh, I had a really, really happy childhood. When I think about my childhood, I think about all the places that we used to go together as a family, because my dad was really, really family oriented. So we would go to the drive-in in the summer. We were always at the beach. We would go on picnics. In the wintertime, we would go ice skating. I just had a really happy childhood. We go to the circus. We go to the Thanksgiving Day parade. We were like real New Yorkers. And that's because my mom and dad both grew up in New York.
Yeah. What did you and your childhood friends do for fun?
What did we do for fun? Oh, I don't know. We just enjoyed being outside playing together. We were always outside. There were no video games. There was no TV. So we spent all our time outside playing.
Did you go to a synagogue? And if you did, what was it like?
No, we didn't. We weren't like a religious family, so we didn't go to synagogue.
When you were a teenager, did you have a bat mitzvah?
No.
Now I would like to take a pic of your favorite Jewish holiday and describe how you and your family celebrated it when you were a child.
So the one that I remember, my grandfather on my mom's side used to do all the Jewish holidays in his house, and he was a fabulous cook. He used to do all the cooking. And I do remember being little, and we would always have dreidels. My favorite holiday, I guess, was Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, I like that holiday too.
It was just fun.
Yeah.
And, we had gelt, and we had dreidels. And Hanukkah. That was Hanukkah, yes. We did that for Hanukkah, and we did that. And Passover was kind of like we always did a Seder, but it was a much more serious kind of dinner. It wasn't fun.
Now I'd like to talk about your family Jewish traditions. What about your favorite Jewish traditions? It could be making a special food, lighting Shabbat candles, dancing the Hora at a wedding, or anything else.
Oh, that's fun, dancing the Hora. I think that my grandfather's latkes was my favorite, part of the meal. I love the way he cooked. He was a great cook.
Well, latkes are pretty good.
Latkes are great. And matzo ball soup.
Yeah.
And he made everything from scratch. He was such a great cook that he didn't, he'd grind his own meat and he shred his own potatoes. He didn't buy anything. Nothing was store-bought. It was all made, from scratch.
Yeah.
What's his name?
That was Grandpa Barney.
Right. Did anyone in your family serve in the military? If yes, tell me more.
Oh, yes. So my dad was in the Navy during World War II. he was really dedicated to, he really was very proud of the fact that he was a veteran. And he on Memorial Day and on Flag Day, he would go to all the cemeteries and he'd put flags by all the graves of the fallen soldiers.
That's
So
nice.
yeah, he was very, and he belonged to, the American Legion, and he was just very involved in appreciating and recognizing the veterans who had served and who had died during the war. And then my brother, Gary, also was in the Navy. And of course, my brother-in-law, Bobby, was a Marine, and his son, my nephew, Danny, was also a Marine.
How did you meet Grandpa?
Okay, so now which grandpa are we talking about? So Grandpa George,
Yeah, Grandpa George.
Grandpa George, I actually met him at Fordham. We both went to school together in college. So I was an English major and he was an English major. And we started dating when I was a junior and he was a senior.
What did you do to make a living in your adult life?
I was in marketing. I worked for Verizon for 35 years. So I saw a lot of changes in that company and I really loved what I did. I was in what they call retention marketing, which is trying to figure out how to keep customers from leaving and going to our competitors. So that's what I spent most of my adult life working on.
Now we're going to wrap up with one more question. What advice do you have for future generations like me?
That's a very good question. I would say, and this is particularly true now because I think now you're getting to an age where your friends are becoming very, very important. And I think friends are very important. I have friends that I've known since kindergarten, and those are really good friends. But you realize as you get older how important your family is. Like, your family will always be there for you, and they always have your best interest at heart, and they love you unconditionally. So, and you grow to appreciate that more and more as you get older.
Well, thank you for spending time talking with me.
Oh, you're so welcome, Mr. Max. I love doing it.